Hi guys! I just got done with lunch and I have volleyball in like 30 minutes, so I might not be able to finish it read aloud, but I'm gonna do like a little funny story to it, I guess. Let's see if you can relate. You want me to read you just the summary. Just the summary for $20. Do you want any change back? Just the summary. Just the summary for $20? Okay. Well, let me get to the summary. I'll read you the summary. The kitchen smelled like bronze brown as Penny's treats came out of the oven. How a room smells brown, I don't know, but the air bloomed thick and chocolatey. Penny blew on the first brownie out of the pan and stuffed the whole thing in her mouth, while reaching for a second one. Let's put the brakes on, Chocolate Monster. Mom chid. Give the first one a challenge to get to your tummy, okay? She handed Penny a cup of milk. Penny, mouthful, answered, nothing better than too much chocolate. Mom chuckled, and I noticed she moved the pan to a high shelf. She always makes a batch of vanilla lady fried fingers for me when she bakes, because she understands that me and chocolate are never going to be best friends. I know it's extra effort, so I grinned hard with appreciation, so she fed me a piece. She held a sip of milk from my special cup designed so that a person using it can't choke by gulping down too much at once. I looked at the unwieldy design and thought, I bet I could improve on this. And my mind started doing the calculations in my head. I narrow the sipping part, smooth out the gulping part, and slow down the flow of the liquid, and do that all the time. I do that all the time. Invent stuff in my head that would make my life, or anybody else's who needs it, a little easier, a little simpler. Then I think about the fact that I'm thinking about this kind of stuff, and Mom hasn't the foggiest notion of where my mind is tiptoeing. I guess most moms have no idea what their kids are thinking, which is probably a good thing, lol. Suddenly, the Game of the Thrones theme song blared from my mom's phone. She loved that show so much, she made it her ringtone. Yes, it's Mrs. Brooks, she said, answering, then paused, listened. Yes? It was my daughter who made the 911 call. And, no, you can't speak to her. She glanced over at me with a look that was a cross between a smirk and a frown. Then she said, in her best, don't mess with my family. And who are you, sir? I see. And, oh, really? Came next. As I was wondering what the heck was going on, Mom said, oh my. Finally, she told whoever she was talking to. Well, I'm very proud that my daughter was able to help Mrs. G. Thanks for your call. She clicked off her phone, poured herself a cup of coffee, and sank into the seat next to me. Dad, who just wandered in, like lured by the smell of chocolate, asked, who was that on the phone? Mom had the strangest look on her face. Channel 9 News, she announced with a cough of disbelief. I looked at her in surprise. What's up? I tapped out. Well, apparently there's a lot we don't know about Mrs. G, and apparently. Now she raised an eyebrow my way. There are a lot of people who think you are a hero. Huh? I don't even know what to tap into response. Dad was clearly just as confused. I'm not following, Dane. Mom reached for her laptop on the computer. Hold up. Let me check something. She clicked and scrolled, then gasped. Oh my goodness. How could I not have known? What word what? I tapped repeatedly. Mom looked, well, almost sad. Well, it seems Mrs. G, who was living across the street before we moved here 15 years ago, a bit of a rascal and also famous. Whoa, Mrs. G is famous for what? Dad asks. Back in the 60s, Mrs. G was a British film star. She was in over a dozen movies. Mom looked back at her screen. She also starred in lots of theater productions, like Yabba Dabba Ducky. Penny asked. No, sweetie. Yabba is a cartoon character. Mrs. G is a real person. So, is she still famous? Penny asked, as she picked a brownie crumb off the table and poked into her mouth. Mom wiped Penny's fingers with a wet wipe that she'd pulled out half-empty package on the side of a table. We went through a lot of those things in the house. Well, fame lives with us, but sometimes it fades and hides. So, she is like a real movie star, Penny asked. Did you ever talk to her? I used to try. Mom explained. I even baked her a pie once. She told me she didn't eat sweets and closed the door. Penny looked shocked. She didn't want a pie? Mom laughed. Yup, my famous apple deluxe. After that, I respected her privacy and never did more than share a wave in the morning. Maybe a brief conversation about the weather, she frowned. I thought I should have been a better neighbor. I bet she was lonely, I tapped out, thinking again how I rarely saw anyone come to her house. Penny suddenly looked stricken. I bet my old Barbie dolls are lonely back in the closet. I never take them out because their hair is messy and I lost their clothes. Mom and I looked at her at the same time. Penny seemed to have a deeper understanding of our conversation than I expected. I thought about the loneliness and isolation for a minute. Sometimes it is easier to be lonely than try to fit in. Plus, so many of the movie stars that I have watched on TV are young and with pretty fancy outfits and hairstyles. And their fans, I guess, want to dress like them. Modern and chic and cool. It's got to be hard to be an older actress who used to be famous, used to wear the latest fashion, used to be a trendsetter. You look in the mirror and watch yourself get old and watch your popularity and care fade like the sunset. The thought give me a little shiver. But I tapped out. I hope she's okay. I feel exactly the same. Mom said as Dad nodded emphasizedly. The game of the thorns ringstone sounded again. Hello? Yes, Mom said, and yes again. She paused, then said, could you repeat that? I'm not sure I understand. I watched my mom's facial expression shift from a frown to a question mark to a look of a genuine surprise. What was that? What was going on? She whispered to us. This time it's Channel 12 News. Then she said, please give me a moment. I'm putting your phone on speaker. She asked the caller to repeat what she said. We would like to interview your daughter on the morning news. Wait, what? If I could speak those words for sure, you would have to shut me up. The lady on the phone continued, I've heard about your daughter's courage and her emotion, her swift action under that could have been an impossible criticism that has saved the life of the British film iconic. We're proud of Melody, my father agreed, as we are. That's why we're calling. With your permission, Channel 12 News would like to interview your daughter on the air tomorrow morning. That's exactly the type of human interest story we'd love to highlight. I have to go to volleyball and I'll finish when I'm back. Bye.